going to my bed. We won't be doing that.
That's good.
But
That's
we will
relief.
we will be asking the 7 great questions. These are the 7 great questions that I want answered before I die.
I'm ready for them, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So yeah, I gave you these yesterday,
Mhm.
so these are the Waiting for Death podcast. Before I die, I have these 7 great questions. So let's dive right in.
All Ready for them, man? Give
Sam
it to me.
Appleman is a comedian, also too, by the way, and that's who is pretty much. Well, it's going to be anybody and everybody really on this, but Sam Appleman is a comedian. Okay, so here's the first question. Do you believe in God? And if yes, what is that? Who is that?
All right. So when you gave me these prompts yesterday, I had the understanding that I could just give any answer.
Any answer.
Any answer. All right. So this is what's gonna happen. Yes, but here is the long answer.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be the long answer. So I was raised in a Jewish household.
Okay.
But at the same time, though, my mom is Catholic and was raised Catholic, and she comes from Irish Catholic and everything. My dad was a Russian, Polish, Jewish guy.
Okay.
And but me and my brothers.
But your mom is Jewish.
No, my mom's Catholic.
Your mom's Catholic.
Mom's
so you're
Catholic.
Jewish on your dad's side, but you were raised Jewish.
Raised Jewish, got
Okay.
bar mitzvah the whole way. So when I was growing up, I always just had the understanding that God was just a thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He was just always existing. You just had to do it, but it was never at any point where like, oh, I believe in it. It was just like, well, duh, because I was told to. If that makes sense?
Okay, got it.
You know what I mean? Sorry. So I went to
You took God for granted, and it's just a part of existence. There's this thing beyond that you don't understand that causes everything.
Yeah, like the thing is though, I didn't like really believe in it. I just believed I believed in it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just like, oh yeah, of course it is. I never really took the
Got it.
time to like really think that it was really this big beyond thing going on.
Everyone believes in it, so I also believe in it too.
Right. Absolutely. So like, for me, I went to a Hebrew school 3 times a week. So,
Gotcha.
which was like an after school thing. I went to regular public school, like in Massachusetts. So it was like nothing like crazy, but like 3 times a week after Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, I would, Saturday mornings rather, I would go to this thing called Hebrew school. You'd be like a 3-hour, after school
Yep.
thing, and everything. You learn about the Jewish, you learn about to read Hebrew. You would learn how to, the understanding of like the Old Testament and everything. You would just basically train yourself to get bar mitzvah, and that was from like 3rd grade until about 6th grade. When 6th grade is when I was about 13, and that's when you get bar mitzvah and everything. And I was like, yeah, of course that's what. And I had 2 older brothers, so
Yeah.
they did the exact same thing. I'm like, well, yeah, this is just what my family does. So that was really, my understanding was it's just what my family does.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this big, grand, huge, thing that this whole world does. Is everything just my family does. And I was like kind of okay with that. And I had cousins who did that. And I had some cousins on my dad's side who were supposed to be the Jewish side who didn't do it. But it's just what my immediate family did, and I was okay with that. And growing up, I had my mom who was Catholic, and it was just understood that she didn't follow that, and that was also okay.
Yep.
But she was Catholic, so I always had like that, Catholic,
That empathy towards that world. Yeah.
empathy, and also a source, so I can like go to her and like, hey, so this whole Jesus thing, like,
What's that all about?
Yeah, like what's
Right.
going on with there? And I would ask her like questions about that, and she would give me like straight answers. And like one time, she said like, well, the Jewish people did actually, kill Jesus. She actually did say that. I swear to God.
I mean, I don't even know if Jesus existed, but
hey,
yeah.
if you do or don't, but that's what she had said. She was like, I was like 7 or 8 years old, and she like tried to put it in the most delicate way possible. She's like, just like.
I think it's kind of a metaphor for the fact that we always kill the truth tellers as a people. You know what I mean? That's not a Jewish thing, right?
I'm not
That's
saying
like
necessarily it's a Jewish thing. I was just saying like
that's
how
like a
I
metaphor for just that's what people do, man. When someone speaks speaks truth to power, they murder that person. Che Guevara, like that's like that. The Jesus story is the Che Guevara.
Anyone you can put
story.
on a T-shirt was probably murdered for a good or bad reason.
The Jesus story is essentially, it's kind of retold. The revolutionary that isn't there for the money, and the powers that be say, hey, this is our system, and this guy just isn't here to advance in the system whatsoever. This guy is trying to enlighten people. Che Guevara, and so guys got to go. Guys got to go. There's the guy who killed Che Guevara. He recently died. Okay, the soldier who was picked to shoot Che Guevara.
That's a tough job.
They had his obituary in The Economist. Okay, so I read my favorite thing in the whole world is the obituary of The Economist, and the guy who killed Che Guevara. What happened? This is such a crazy story. He was just a soldier, and he was just randomly picked. They knew whoever killed Che Guevara was going to be this person that was hated. So they picked just like a private in their army, basically. The mainstream army that after they had captured Che Guevara, they picked just some random private officer to kill him. And this is so gangster, dude, because the guy told the story. He walked into this. Che Guevara was being held in this schoolroom. The school wasn't going on. He was just like in this town being held as a prisoner in the schoolroom, tied up. And they sent him in to go kill Che Guevara. And when
was he doing a mass shooting drill at the time? Was he just hanging out in the corner, or?
Well, yeah, they just picked him and they gave him a gun, and he walked in and he was shaking. Okay, and Che Guevara looked up and saw him shaking, holding this gun. And Che Guevara, this is the most gangster thing ever. Che Guevara looked at this dude, and Che Guevara, I hope I got to think because it stuck with me, the wording, but I want to make sure I get the wording correctly. Che Guevara looked at this dude, right at him, and he said, "Be still, aim well. You're about to kill a man." That's gangster.
It's not bad.
That's gangster. So yeah, I mean that's Che Guevara was a Christ figure in that way. So right, so he's speaking truth. He's basically saying to the powers that be, hey, your system, all systems are corrupt.
This is a thing.
This is a common problem in humanity. All systems are corrupt. So there's always going to be the person who comes by and points out the corruption in the system, and then the powers that be are like, we got to kill that guy.
Yeah, definitely also a sociopath, if that's the first thing that comes to mind in that situation.
Well, I mean, I think, I guess there are
about
good
to kill
sociopaths.
A man. And well, it's like, all right.
There are good sociopaths and there are bad sociopaths. Also, I think he probably wanted a quick death, too.
I didn't know there was two
So he's saying, be
groupings
still,
aim
aim well. Be still, aim well. You're about to kill a man.
That's true. All right, that's definitely powerful. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he definitely, yeah, for sure. Okay. Wow. So any more thoughts on God?
Just the fact, like, after I got bar mitzvahed, like I was, I was, all right, so I'm 13. And so fast forward to college, I went into the typical atheist phase, like, God's fucking dumb, and everything.
Right.
And honestly, after like about, all right, so like, even after college and I was like 25, 26, I moved to New York and everything. I started like, at least appreciating the structure of religion,
Okay.
it's something that you can go back to. And, it's not so much God that you believe in this physical person who's like up in this invisible world who's like telling you what to do. It's more like something that you can at least rely on, at least as a structure to, like, not just morality, but just like, understanding that you can, it's something you can go back to. It's something you can rely on, whether it's family, whether it's morality, whether it's just something that you don't have to, like, panic every single day, of your life. If that makes any sense. It's just, it's more of like this, like, big, like, God is more of this big thing that you can, like, believe in, as opposed to like this dude, in this long beard. Does that make any sense?
I think everyone hopes the universe is on their side. everyone wants to be on the right side of history.
Yeah.
Everyone hopes that the universe is on their side. I don't necessarily know if everyone wants to be on the right side of history. I definitely think selfish people exist, but I think even still, those selfish people want to think that the universe is on their team.
Who
You know,
doesn't?
definitely, you know,
Yeah.
all these religious books are, you know, any religious book, when you read it, it's, you know, God loves us and hates our enemies. And so that's like the whole thing, you know, you just want to know that God is on your side. Yeah. So I think it definitely speaks to people. That's interesting because, yeah, I firmly believe that we're all one. And so there's this sort of division that sort of the belief in God causes, which
Right.
is kind of interesting. Not necessarily, probably. There's this sort of these Eastern ideas of God, but definitely the Western idea of God sort of necessitates division. Sort of, God is the good guy and there's a bad guy, and so just in your world, you got to be the good guy, and other people are bad guys, and all of that. It kind of necessitates that sort of the Western idea of God, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, that Western idea of God, where when you get into the Eastern idea, it's God is everything, and
Which
yeah,
I
and all
like
that.
have little to no
Yeah,
understanding.
well, it's interesting.
Not because I don't want to. I just don't. And I think it's the whole I think like Buddhism or I think is like interesting, but it's just something that I just don't understand myself.
Yeah.
And but you know, I appreciate like you know, like Hinduism, which is, you know, has like, you know, a different, like, you know, it has like multiple gods and like a different,
Yeah.
whole different approach to it. You know, whether it's like reincarnation or like even something as simple as that they find like when I first found out that they worship cows, like just the idea of cows is like,
Yeah.
a cow? You're like the guy that I have the thing that I get a cheeseburger from. Like that was the most thing that blew my mind. The whole thing about
Yeah.
Hinduism, like it was like you like, because they so it's possible that their dead relatives reincarnate into a cow, so they have to worship, you know, literally these big 800-pound fat fucking things that, you know, that people in the Midwest would literally tip over just for fun at, you know, it's 2:00 in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that's what that blew my mind when I found that out. You know, like that they worship these big, you know, black and white spotted, you know, fat fucks with like these giant udders or whatever. You know?
They don't eat them too, right? They just drink the milk.
Oh, they can't. No, they don't eat them.
Yeah, but they do drink the milk.
I worked with people like, you know, over the years and
Yeah.
you know, here in New York who are die-hard Hindus. They would never touch anything beef because they were so holy and so appreciative of their, you know, of their existence. Like no, this is like that. Honestly, could be my Uncle Bill. You know what I mean?
Well, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. So imagine you have you discover that there's this animal that gives milk, and that you as a human being can process that milk pretty well, and it can help you survive because it's pure protein. And so now it becomes a goose that laid the golden egg situation. If you kill the cow, you get rid of this reliant supply of protein for forever. Not for forever, but for the life of the cow, or whatever the milking period for a cow is. I don't know how many years that is. I don't know if it has like a what's the thing where women I don't know if there's a menopause for the
Lactation
milk.
period?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like something
No
like
idea.
that where the udders dry up and all of that. Don't know. But either way, you got to think about it as like a goose. You know, they're in their mind probably they're like, oh wow, if we kill this thing, then we have this constant source of protein, and that's gone. So it becomes a goose that laid the golden egg situation, where if you kill the goose, no more golden eggs.
And that's the thing, like, because they have, like, because there's so many cows in the world, so they're probably looking at our you know, mass industry of cows, like how many, you know, cousins and long distance cousins that we are just murdering on a just endless level and everything, and we're like, well, we got an endless supply, so what are you worried about? You know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of it's definitely interesting. Sort of. So they worship cows.
Yeah, because they can be like their dead relatives or their loved ones can be reincarnated into a cow. Like that's
like above a human.
that's what I have learned for, like, yeah, that's what I've learned. Like, no, that it's not just, you know, that could be literally my uncle right there. That could be my cousin
Wow.
right there. So that's why they have such a firm belief.
That makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I at least
You know what's interesting about what we're talking about? I firmly am weirded out by cows in general, and I'll tell you why. They don't seem natural as animals. What I mean is I don't think there's really any wild cows. I haven't really seen any. I haven't just been in the woods and seen a cow mosey up. I'm sure maybe it exists someplace, but I feel like what we know cows to be, if you were to take one of those and put it in the middle of the woods, it would just stand there until a coyote ate it.
100%.
Like that's like, and so
It's
it's
waiting
just,
to get milked or die.
yeah, and so it's an animal that has zero natural survival skills. It is completely dependent on human beings, which after a while you go, it's definitely an animal still, but it's not natural the way that like a chihuahua isn't natural the way a wolf is natural,
Even though
for
it has
sure.
wolf DNA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think at one point, I don't even think at one point, I think as soon as people learned to herd animals, just the cow got co-opted. And in a weird way, because we always herded sheep, goats, and cattle, like since the beginning of time, there's like almost no recorded history really where that all started, I feel.
Yeah. Like
The oldest books talk about
that makes me freaked out. Like there's gonna be just like a cow in the wilderness and everything, and all it's gonna do is just gonna eat grass and then eventually just become grass
it. Well,
at a certain point.
imagine if the oldest books talked about chihuahuas and we just didn't know what wolves were. And that's what I'm getting at. So the oldest book talk about herds of sheep, goats, and cows. But whatever these animals were before people herded them, whatever we took and turned into a sheep that needs to be sheared, otherwise it'll just grow wool for forever, that animal is gone.
So you're saying like 10,000 years from now, when the books that we have right now might get lost, and all the books that exist 10,000 years from now, it's just gonna be about the wild chihuahuas.
Could be. Or the
The only wolves
they
that
just won't
exist
know.
is just
Yeah, well, I guess
chihuahuas, or
wolves-
just like fucking
wolves
what
still
like
exists.
you
So
know like a basset hound. Like the only wolves that exist are a basset hound, just because that's all that it is. There's no wolves 10,000 years from now. It's just wild basset hounds, wild chihuahuas.
Well, what I'm saying is so like imagine like let's take a sheep for instance, right? It was probably an animal that had wool, but the wool shed naturally at one point. Then people started herding these sheep and started cutting the wool before it shed. And so then the sheep that were being born didn't necessarily need to have the skill of shedding wool. And so over time, they weren't selecting the ones they just didn't naturally have that anymore. They just lost that, I guess, because human beings shed them. Human beings actually became the natural shedder of sheep. So the need to naturally shed their wool went away. But what I'm getting at is certain animals like sheep, maybe not goats, because I feel like there are mountain goats and stuff, but definitely sheep and cows. I feel like if humans went extinct, they would go extinct with humans shortly afterwards, because there would be no humans there to shear the sheep. There would be no humans to milk the cow or drain their cysts.
I got you.
So it's like they're completely with us, like chihuahuas too. If all humans died, there would be no more chihuahuas.
Oh no, they
would just die.
because there would be no pocketbooks and purses for them to live in.
Yeah, there would be none of that, and they would just they would have no survival skills, and wolves would survive, mountain goats would survive, buffalo would survive,
The little that exist, yeah.
dogs, cats would survive for whatever reason.
Cats would
Go
survive. Cats are
either
a
way.
special thing, man. Even like house cats, they would walk around like waiting to be fed. But I feel like because you'll find a cat like with a mouse in its mouth,
Yeah.
after a certain point, or like mouses are cats are natural hunters.
Yeah.
My dad grew up with a cat, and he would just tell me stories about of his cat showing up, into the house with like a rodent in its mouth, even though
Really?
it was perfectly domesticated, was fed every day, had a litter box and everything, and they would just show up with a mouse in its,
Yeah.
in its mouth. So that's no. Now I'm not saying dogs don't do that, but I feel like if you if for instance, if you put like just like any old cat versus a specific dog, any old cat would be able to figure it out. A specific dog probably wouldn't. In the wild.
That's
You know what I mean?
interesting. That a cat will just do cat stuff as a hobby.
Yeah.
And so if you were to abandon a cat, the cat would just go, well, I do the hobby full time now.
Yeah. It's like,
And so,
we're doing this now.
I hunt mice full time now.
Chihuahua probably just dies.
Yeah.
It's like this little thing, and it's like, no, it's probably not going to be able to work it
It's
out.
kind of interesting. I bet a cat could, if it spent all day hunting, a cat could catch either one bird or one mouse a day, and that would be enough to sustain it.
Honestly, I think it could do more.
Yeah.
I honestly mean that. Like
Between trash cans and all that and stuff.
Yeah, and it also depends where you
Between
live.
just waste and all of
Whether
that.
you're living in New York City, where you probably have an abundance of things that you want. Now let's just take disease.
Well, let's say
put
there's
that
no
to the side.
humans, so there's no more trash. You know what I mean? So cats would just have to rely on birds and mice.
Yeah,
really.
like where I grew up. Now where I grew up, I the first like 10 years where I grew up in Western Mass, there was it was like my house, you had a house across from it, a house next to it, and a house next to us. And that was kind of it on our street. It was pretty rural. You had a lot of woods, you had a lot of open plain. So, and I grew up with a couple dogs. Our neighbors grew up with like multiple dogs, multiple cats, and every now and then they would just like show up with animals in their mouths because there was just so much wildlife around us. Now, it wasn't like Little House on the Prairie, but it was at least enough to the point where these dogs and these cats could at least find like was a little mouse here, a bird here, and it just was kind of normal. So absolutely. Like if a dog or a cat had to flip that switch, 100% they could start doing that if they absolutely had to. And I would probably bet cats more so than most dogs, at least certain dogs. Like if you had like a golden retriever, basset hound, bloodhound, or anything like that, probably could adapt more than say a chihuahua or like
ducks and
a
fish,
Yorkie or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right. Maybe a dog next to a stream maybe could pick up some fish.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a bear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab my soda real quick. Hold on.
That's cool. I'm gonna get a water anyway.
Okay, so question. We're on to our second question now.
What do you got?
Okay, so question number 2. Do you believe in the devil? And what is that if you do?
Do I believe in the devil?
Yes.
All right. Well, let me start with this. Being raised Jewish, we don't believe in an afterlife, no heaven, no hell. Having said that, there's probably one,
A devil?
There's probably one. There's probably an evil, being. I'm willing to believe that there's an opposite to everything. If there's something so good, there's probably something so bad. There's something, so amazing, there's probably something so terrible. You had the Holocaust, you had the Red Sox winning the World Series back in 2004. That's not, if you want to take that for what it is, but at the same time, there probably is. I believe there's always like that. The devil, though, probably something, that little thing in the pit of your stomach telling you to just fuck around and not do the thing that you're probably supposed to be doing at that moment. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, what's
I'm willing to believe
interesting?
that.
What's interesting? So this is what I okay. Okay, you think it's sort of temptation personified.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I will willing to take it, because I don't know if there's really, like, because when we were talking about God earlier, I'm willing to think it is not just so much as a specific guy with a big beard in the sky telling me what to do.
Okay.
I think it's this this like, I'm trying to find this track in my life, in this specific sense of morals that I'm trying to go by, that I think might be the way to go, or these set of rules, or like traditions that might help guide my life. That is might be God to me. Devil on the other hand is this thing that leads me down towards maybe not such a great path.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though: going down not such a great path isn't necessarily a bad thing. Perfect example is where way my family went. I have a brother who is a software engineer. I have another brother who works for a company that staffs teachers to that gets teachers to online teaching jobs.
Yeah.
And I may not have went the same path that my parents hoped that I went. I went trying to be an actor. Now I'm trying to be a comedian. Not necessarily something they wanted me to be. Not saying that's the devil's work, but at the same time, it's definitely an alternate route.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how that's that.
Well, there's a lot of
I don't know.
theories. There's a lot of theories that it's kind of interesting. So you get Eastern philosophy that says that that everything is everything. You know what I mean? And so the devil would kind of be everything. And I don't want to say the devil would be included in that, but light and darkness are kind of one. You know what I mean? Like you can't have one without the other. That's sort of the idea of Eastern philosophy.
You need a dichotomy.
And so
Yin and the yang.
Christianity kind of has a lot of theories of like that even though Lucifer, Satan, these are fallen angels, they still kind of have to work for the glory of God in the end. Meaning God wins in the end, so they're a part of the story, and so they're a part of the movie. So in a weird way, the whole time they were working for God, even though they didn't think they were. They're just, it's all part of God's plan. I guess you can kind of say there's sort of that theory about it. The best one that I ever heard, my personal favorite, what I sort of subscribe to, and this is kind of interesting. M. Scott Peck, who is he was a Harvard psychologist. He believes in devil,
Asshole.
and he said he believes in devil, and he said that the devil is a real spirit of unreality. And so what that means is this is in Hindus call it the Maya, the world. Okay, the Christians call it the world. So when I mean the world, I mean all institutions. Okay, things that aren't necessary, things that aren't real, things that aren't natural. The fact that we live in houses, hospitals, schools, all these things that we sort of built. Basically, these are all things that exist in what we call the unreality.
So I went to biology and it was not natural the entire time. It's fucking bullshit,
it's
man.
kind of the idea is that any science is ultimately wrong, but it's better than no
So
science.
that C was unnatural. I fucking knew.
Yeah, so it's better than no science. It's the whole idea that Terence McKenna, the best guesses are lies. You know what I mean? We die in the end. So you're wrong, even when you but some truths are better than other truths still. So we have this this idea of working towards sincerity, of figuring it all out. That being said, there's a reason. This is why I love that definition of the devil as a real spirit of unreality. And here's why I love it. Lucifer is in a weird way. So you think of like angels as like patron saints and stuff. Like in like Christianity, they have these patron saints, but then the angels are also like patron saints. There's like, the angel of love, the angel, you know what I mean? The angel of this, the angel of that, all that. The archangel Michael is kind of like the angel of justice and all that. But anyway, so you have Lucifer and Satan, and Lucifer is the angel of luxury. and Satan is the angel of prestige. And those are like the two tools that they use, because that's kind of what makes up our unreality. That's kind of what advances everybody. That's kind of what motivates people to become doctors and work at the hospital, is this sort of, hey, if you do this important thing in society, we will give you luxury and prestige in exchange
So you
for
need
it.
so you need the devil to exist in order for to try to fix the horribleness of life. That's what you're saying.
It's he's a real spirit of the she whatever is a real spirit of unreality. So it's the spirit of luxury, the spirit of prestige. These things aren't real. If luxury went away, if prestige went away, everything would just be fine. They're purely illusionary. And so you say, well, what is the spirit of that? And why I love that is because it keeps me from getting attached to luxury. It keeps me from getting attached to prestige, because in my mind, those were things of the devil anyway. You know, luxury is Lucifer is the angel of luxury, and Satan is the angel of prestige.
I'm willing to agree to that because I finally got rid of my car.
Well, you know what's interesting?
And that was nice. So I don't have a car anymore, and that's saving me a lot of money. So I'm willing to assume that the devil was siphoning off all the money from me, and I wasn't able to pay for other dumb stuff. So
well, I will say this to you and to our viewers, with the idea that the devil is Satan, Lucifer, that these are angels of unreality. Lucifer being the angel of luxury, the fallen angel of luxury, and Satan being the fallen angel of prestige. If you know that and you go and listen to the song Sympathy for the Devil, it all makes sense. It really does.
yeah, I kind of like Lemmy from Motorhead's cover better than Rolling Stone though. So.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
yeah,
I think Motorhead cover
I just
too.
think it's a better version of it.
Yeah.
But no, I know where you're going with that, man. That makes sense. That makes total sense. And at the end of the day, and I think is I have a satanic tattoo on my arm.
Yes, you do. You have the sigil of Lucifer.
Is it pronounced sigil?
I think it's pronounced sigil.
I thought it was sigil.
I have sigil.
Is it? I thought I'm not
S-I-G-I-L.
saying you're wrong. I thought it was sigil.
Sigil.
Sigil. Is it is it tomato?
Probably tomato.
Is it a British thing?
I have in my bookshelf over there. I have what is it? The Lesser Key of Solomon, which has all the sigils in it.
You keep calling it sigil. So
Sigil. Did you actually find that in the Lesser Key of Solomon? Or
no, I found it on Google.
You just found it. All right, hold on. Let me go get the book. Let me go get the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So we're back. This is the Lesser Key of Solomon. It has all of the detailing the ceremonial art of commanding spirits, both good and evil. And so
It's like something from Beetlejuice.
yeah, kind of. It's a spell book. It is literally a spell book. Let's see the sigil of Lucifer.
Oh, I thought we were just gonna figure out is it sigil or sigil.
Oh, well, I don't know.
That's all I cared about. Like
Yeah.
I'm I'm a grammar Nazi, so I want to figure out like how are we supposed to say it?
Where would it be? I want to see if it matches the one that you have, or if that is like the Anton LaVey.
This could have been solved just by looking at Google.
Yeah, probably could have. We'll put it away anyway.
This was a fruitful expedition. I'm glad.
Yes, Lesser Key of Solomon. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, so
he's getting paid nothing for that. So
yeah, nothing.
No, nothing at all.
But yeah, no. There's actually what we were talking about this idea of Satan being luxury and prestige, of Satan being the fallen angel of prestige and Lucifer being the fallen angel of luxury. There's actually a book, a Russian novel called The Master and Margarita. If you ever, it's one of the most famous books. I love a good
margarita. Hell yeah.
It's one of the most famous books of all time ever written. It's like The Way to Kill a Mockingbird is probably the most famous American book ever written. The Master and Margarita is the most famous Russian book ever written. And Russia is very atheistic as a country.
I agree. I would have guessed Crime and Punishment.
Well, it's up there, but Master
I would
Margarita.
have guessed. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
yeah.
you're wrong. I'm just like, I
Well,
would have guessed
I don't
that
even
one.
know if probably is it would in Russia. I don't know if Crime and Punishment would be the Dostoevsky book they would all love the most, or if it would be like the Brothers Karamazov or something like that. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm not saying I've read either of them.
And then there's Tolstoy and all of that, so there's all that. But I forget who writes the Master and Margarita, but it's up there with all those books. And the main
probably a
character,
Mexican.
no. It's a Russian book. And I know, right? It's a Mexican. You think Margarita. And
Yeah. You got the joke. Okay, I'll go. Let's go kill myself.
It's a love story between these two characters, the Master and Margarita. That's what it is. And so 2/3 of the book is this love story between the Master and Margarita, and their matchmaker is Satan. That's their matchmaker, the devil. And effectively, 2/3 of the book is this love story, and their matchmaker is Satan. And 1/3 of the book is a retelling of the story of Jesus and Pontius Pilate. Okay, and it's amazing because it illustrates what we're talking about. So what happens is Jesus is brought, and it's kind of interesting because we talked earlier about the death of Jesus and all that. So this kind of speaks to what happens. So because it's this retelling, but it's very human Christ in this story, right? In this book. And so this guy named Jesus, he gets brought before Pontius Pilate. And Jesus in the book is like this hippie character, right? And Pontius Pilate is curious about Jesus because he hears that this guy is this revolutionary. He's been preaching in the town square and in the temple and in the marketplace and riling people up. And so he wants to meet Jesus. So he meets Jesus. And he likes him. He likes him a lot. And he basically says, he says to Jesus, he says, "Hey man, I really like you as a person." Jesus is in front of him, bound up and everything, arrested. And he goes, Pilate's talking to Jesus, and Pilate says, "Jesus, I really like you as a person. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you go. The Pharisees sent you here. They want me to kill you. But I'm going to let you go because I like you. I think you're a good guy. Here's the deal. You just can't preach anymore. Whatsoever. You can't preach in the temple. You can't preach in the market.
When he did this?
Well, essentially, right? You know what I mean? He says you can't preach anymore. You can't preach anymore. Not a gun, but a sword, essentially,
Seems like a mob boss thing. It's like, hey, I'll let you go, but hey.
Totally. He's like, exactly like that. Exactly like that. He's like, I'm going to let you go, but you got to promise you can't speak in the marketplace anymore. You can't preach in the marketplace anymore. You can't preach in the temple. You can't.
Not on my turf, baby. Not on my turf.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. And Jesus says, "Oh no, but I like to do that. And if you let me go,
so Jesus is
I'm
retarded.
going to go back and do that."
He's just dumb. He's just dumb.
So he says that, and then Pilate, he's just this hippie dude, and Pilate says, no, like you don't get it. Like, I'm going to let you go.
Should have moved to Utah. They love it there.
Can't go and preach anymore. So this is what he says. And Jesus goes, "Nah, if you let me go, I'm gonna go and preach again. That's what I like to do. That's what I'm gonna do."
Should have started preaching in anywhere in Middle America, like gone to the murdered the Native Americans. He could have murdered the Native Americans and done the white man a huge service by just doing it there.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know about Mormon lore or anything like that. But then what happens is Pontius Pilate says to Jesus, he says, "Jesus, listen, man, I'm telling you, you can't preach anymore in the marketplace. You can't preach anymore in the temple. Because if you do, I'm going to have to kill you. Don't you realize that I have the power to kill you? The Pharisees brought you here and asked me to kill you. Don't you realize that I have the power to kill you?" This is what Pilate says to Jesus. And Jesus says, he looks at Pilate all confused. And he goes, "Power? You don't have any power. I don't have any power. You don't have any power. God has the power. I don't have any power. You don't have any power. God has the power." And in that moment, Pilate realizes, oh, I got to kill this guy. I need to kill this guy because what this guy is saying threatens my luxury and it threatens my prestige. And so this guy has to go. And that's essentially the story of humanity. That story keeps happening over and over and over again. people basically preach to people, hey, you can do whatever you want. And then people who don't want people doing whatever they want say, we need to murder this person. That's what happens.
If only he just went, he's like, okay, and just went to anywhere else.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have to worry about people saying,
do whatever you want within love. Do whatever you want within love. That's the other. That's the
second coming.
thing.
There's a second coming. Yeah, but the second coming already happened. So I don't know why everyone's so upset about having a second coming. I thought the second coming already happened. That's what happened 3 days after Jesus was killed.
Oh yeah. He came back, and then
he came back. That was the second coming. He was like, "Oh, so the third coming." So
it's
the third
it's gonna be the third coming.
That's kind of the only thing that made not even like annoyed or like angered me. It was just more like a logistical problem.
Yeah,
it's just third. It's
three.
It's number 3. He's number 3.
You're right.
Wait for the number 3. That was the only thing with me.
It's gonna be the third coming.
This to be the third coming. That's the only thing that bothered me. Like it had nothing to do with the deity or like their dogma or like their belief. It's like just the third. Guys.
Yeah. You're right. They call it the second coming.
Call it the third, man.
When it's the third coming. You're right.
Yeah, just call it the third, and I'll stop talking.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It's just annoying.
Annoying
to me.
It actually is the third if Christ comes back. It is the third coming of Christ.
Big if.
You know what's interesting? Yeah, big if. But you know what is interesting about the Christ myth? This is interesting about the Christ myth. This is why personally I 110% support transgender people, like 110%. I fully believe transgender people, but I'll tell you why. There's many reasons, but I find it so absurd. This is one of the reasons I find it so absurd when Christian people do not believe in transgender people. For the simple reason of Christian people, what they believe is that anything is possible. That's like a big thing in Christianity or in any religion. Hey, with God, anything is possible.
That's true.
And I'm like, okay, I'm like, you mean anything is possible but transgender people? Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? You said anything is possible. So of course, that means that under anything is a person that is born with the body of a man and the brain of a woman or vice versa. That of course falls under anything. That's actually a very reasonable assumption that would wholeheartedly exist for sure. And here's what's interesting is Christianity fully relies on this premise that anything you can think of can and will happen. And what I mean by that is that's the idea of Christ, right? The idea of Christ is that you can imagine a character coming along that can control the matrix. You can imagine that. That's what Christ is. Christ is Neo, right? Somebody that can turn water into wine. You can imagine that, which means that technically it has to happen eventually, which is why Jews believe in the Messiah. That's what the Messiah is, somebody that can manipulate everything, That myth of the Neo coming that can control the matrix, that is a common myth, you know what I mean? And so the idea is the philosophical belief is that because we can imagine it, it eventually does have to happen. But once again, I wholeheartedly support transgender people because I look at that and I say, hey, Christianity, Judaism, Western religion in general relies on this idea that with God, all things are possible. So the idea that a person can be born with the body of a man and the brain of a woman or vice versa, falls underneath that.
Transgender people exist, and that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I think the vast majority of people who are who claim that they're born in this body, but they are their sexual whole orientation, identification.
Well, essentially, it's a very simple thing. They're saying, I have the body of a man, but the brain of a woman, or vice versa. I have the body of a woman and the brain of a man.
I would say the vast majority of them are 100% correct, and I believe them.
Yeah, it's very reasonable.
But I also think that there's probably about I'm not even going to put a number on it, but there's a very small minority of them who are, maybe it's a different issue. Maybe it's a different issue that they haven't explored yet. And I think it could be a variety of things. It could be someone who's on the autistic spectrum. It could be someone who's just maybe, and as shitty as this is sound, it could be someone who's like trying to look for, maybe another reason to, try to be unique and try to be, special about themselves because they don't feel like they are special about themselves. Maybe they don't stand out.
I understand all
I'm
these.
saying the vast majority. I do believe. But I think that, I mean, now one of the arguments is, oh no, there's so many more transgender people nowadays because they have been in hiding for the last 100, 200, 300,
Oh, of course,
5,000
yeah,
years
yeah.
because of persecution,
Yeah,
murder, and
of course,
everything.
yeah.
I'm
Of course, yeah.
100% willing to
Yeah.
believe that. But I think there's that small minority of people that maybe they're, jumping on this train to try to get, get some of that, style points, some of that social credit. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay.
I think there is a small minority of that, and I think those people.
I don't
are,
know. I don't. The reason.
I,
Here's the reason. Here's
I'm
the
not
reason.
saying I know for sure. I'm saying I think it's possible, and I'm not willing to, just like, dive in 100%. That's all what it is, 100%. Like if someone says, like, oh, I'm definitely this and that. Okay, how do you know that?
Well, the only.
It also depends on the age on this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
If they're fucking 5 years old and like, oh, I'm this. I'm like, okay.
Well,
Okay.
I think that for the most part, hopefully, therapists who meet with people who are going, making these important decisions and stuff as to whether or not to transition and everything like that. Hopefully, they're. I don't think they're 5-year-olds that they're meeting with. I think they're older, people.
There have been people who are even younger who have like starting to like make transitions at that age. I don't know if it's like through medication, but they are like starting to live through lives at the age of 5, sometimes age of 7. Now, if you're 25 years old and you believe this, now, okay, I'm not gonna die on that hill. I'm probably willing to believe that maybe that's something that's been living with you for a long time. But there are some.
I think what you're getting at is just like a kid who just like a kid who has the body of a dude who's just like, oh, I want to wear a princess dress. Is that what you're getting at?
Like, there's nothing wrong with a guy who wants to live a princess dress, and you're still a guy. There's nothing wrong with a girl. Like I went to school with a girl who was the quote unquote the tomboy, and she she was a girl. She always was a girl, and the entire time she didn't play softball. She played baseball with us. She always played football with us in the playground. She was always still though a girl, and I can say for absolute certainty, I won't name her name, but she is still a girl, still a woman now. The entire time, it has nothing to do with like her sexual identity. She just happened to like want to enjoy playing this sport or doing this or doing that, wearing jeans and wearing a hoodie. She was still, however, a woman. Had nothing to do with the fact that she wanted to not be a woman or she believed she was a man. Everything, she was still a woman. She just happened to be this kind of woman, which I think some people, especially these kids who are growing up now, it's like, if there's like a slightly different variation, oh no, I'm definitely not a guy. I'm definitely not a man. I'm a woman. No. Maybe you're just a different kind of woman. You ever think of that? I think that might be sometimes lost. You're still a woman. You're still a different kind, because maybe being a woman is, forgive me for saying this, a large spectrum. Maybe it could be that.
Could be that. I think I'm always reminded in these discussions of there's a philosophical question that I think is very important, that I love. I love this philosophical question. The philosophical question goes like this. Who makes the grass green? Who makes the grass green?
The sun.
The idea goes like this, is like, what is green? And it's us. We make the grass green.
All right. Fair enough.
We go, that's green. If we all agreed that green was red, green would then be red. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So reality doesn't change. It's just our labeling that always changes of reality. You get that idea. So the idea is, who makes the grass green? You know what I mean? And it's a way of unlocking your brain to come up with this idea of labeling. That we do that the way Adam and Eve labeled everything in the Garden of Eden, that myth, that sort of thing, is that's us. That's what we're doing, basically. And so that being said, I'm a firm believer of this. First and foremost, every single person has a fundamental right. This is something I firmly believe. Every single person has a fundamental right to their idea of themselves. Mm-hmm. And so, that's why I do firmly believe in transgender people. I do firmly support the LGBTQI plus community, because this idea that, hey, people have a right to their idea of themselves. That I will validate that. I will validate that. And a person, none of these people, if you're able to hold down a job, you're able to hold a conversation. If you're here, you're not crazy. You're able to articulate who you are and how you're going to meet the world. And so you're able to say, hey, with my doctor, I definitely go into my background of my transition and everything like that. But when I'm with a police officer, there's no need for that. If I'm getting pulled over, no one's checking my junk. And if my license says Miss or Mister, that's my business. And I firmly believe that because you are entitled to your idea of yourself. As crazy as it sounds, when a person removes their penis, it's no different than you getting a haircut. It's a more permanent haircut.
No,
it's a more permanent haircut.
It's
a much more permanent
apples
haircut.
and bowling balls, man.
No, it's not.
Apples and bowling balls.
It's a piece of your body.
No,
think about it.
The hair grows back.
No, I totally get it. I just said it's
Hair
permanent.
grows
I just
back.
said it's a much more permanent thing. But what if you permanently removed your hair? What if you got surgery to permanently remove your hair? That would be no different. You're making a cosmetic choice to
different.
fulfill your idea of
Totally
yourself.
different. Totally
Really
different.
not.
How is it that? How is that the same? How is that?
You're removing a
taking
part
away
of your body.
Yeah, hair follicles.
Totally.
Yeah, well, the hair
Don't
follicle.
get me wrong.
A
It's
hair
not,
follicle cannot impregnate a woman.
No. But it can do certain functions, which is a simple enough function would be grow on your head.
Yeah.
It functions. It actually has a function in your body. The idea that
Every hair follicle, or are we just talking about the head?
The idea that you put out.
What
just
about the
now,
one on my taint?
Hold on. The idea that you put out just now that your sex organs, you know what I mean, are on a much different level than your hair as far as importance go.
Because they are.
Here's the thing. I would agree with that with me personally, but I would, in my opinion, from my own body. But also, I will say this: that's wholly a matter of perspective. That's wholly a matter of perspective. There could be a person out there. I'll give a good example. I'll give a totally good example. There are people out there with diseases where they live in wheelchairs, where their junk isn't functioning. They're not really like in the reproduction game whatsoever because they're in a wheelchair, and their haircut means much more to them on a daily basis than their junk. Really, truly, because that is much more of who they are, and they're going to make important life choices based on their haircut, because that's just how they meet the world. People with muscular dystrophy and stuff like that.
So their sexual identity has changed just because they got into a car accident?
No. I'm not saying they're sexual. Well, first off, it's a gender identity.
Or gender identity, rather.
I don't. No, I'm not making that whatsoever. I'm just saying that a person who is in a wheelchair and let's say paralyzed or something like that, there does come a point probably in their life, probably towards older age especially, where things like their haircut is much more a part of their identity than their genitals, for sure. For sure. I would assume that would. I will say this, man. I haven't had sex in a long time. It's just not something important to me right now whatsoever. It's definitely probably more important than, I guess I would still say my dick is more important than my hair. I would rather lose my hair than my dick.
I mean, that's my point.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that person in that wheelchair is that that person in that wheelchair and anyone who is in that same group, probably a very, very such a small minority. It's I'm not saying they're not worth talking about, but in far as this discussion goes, it doesn't really correlate.
Well, I guess what I mean is your perspective is a common perspective, right? It's a common perspective, but still at the end of the day, it's a very common perspective. But still at the end of the day, I always remind myself of this. It's still a perspective. And
I'm willing to accept that it is a perspective.
Yeah,
I'm not saying what I'm saying is ironclad in law.
So there's still just going
okay
to
with that.
So that what I'm saying though is when a person removes their genitals, you know what I mean, they're making alters their genitals. They're making a decision to say, hey, I'm having this surgery to basically make my outside match my idea of myself, my body, match my idea of myself. My brain has this idea of myself, and I'm going to change my body to match my idea of myself. And what I'm getting at is that's exactly the same thing you do when you go get a haircut. You go and you say, my idea of myself is this haircut, and you ask for that. And it's literally the exact same thing.
It's not literally the exact same thing. I think it's in the same planet. It's not in the same ballpark. It's not even in the same room. But I understand that it has a.
It's changing your body to match your
If you got a
idea of
Venn
yourself.
diagram, you got like the very, very thin parts of the sphere touching each other. I
It's a
think.
temporary tattoo
Very,
versus
very
a permanent
thin
tattoo.
parts of that
It's
sphere.
I would argue that a temporary tattoo is vastly different than a permanent tattoo. I would argue that. I would argue that for sure.
Totally.
For sure. But even in that short term, sort of the idea of changing yourself to match your idea, changing your body to match your idea of yourself. And I guess what I'm getting at is that's a fundamental right, and that is a common thing that human beings do.
It is a fundamental right.
And it's a very common thing.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at countercultures over the years. You have people doing mohawks, shaving their heads, not necessarily for like you have people shaving their heads, for Nazism and against Nazism. You had people like who were like punks who were like, I'm totally against these Nazi assholes. Then you have people shaving their heads for I am 100% a Nazi asshole. And then you have people growing out their hair for the counterculture thing. You have people wearing mohawks. You have people wearing spiked hair. You have people just like. You know what I mean? Like one thing could represents an idea, depending on the era that in which you're in.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in a very abstract way. I'm saying that people all the time alter their bodies to match their idea of themselves.
And what
I'm saying
happens
that
5
what
years from
transgender
now
people
is,
are doing is that. Is that.
And so my argument is, at least that small minority, it's like, are you sure you're willing to go down this path? Are you so sure this is exactly who you are? That's why I think, children at a certain age shouldn't be willing to go down that certain path right away. Because that's where it gets dangerous. Are you sure you're ready for this right now?
I'm not a doctor. I would agree.
Neither am I.
I would agree that probably in general, I would say that people who are not fully developed taking hormone drugs is risky.
Very risky.
That's I will say that. That's,
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying it's a risk. And
it's as risky it's as risky as somebody in high school taking steroids. And there are dudes I knew in high school who took steroids.
So did I.
And years later, they took hormones to change their body to match their idea of themselves. They wanted to be a strong guy, you know what I mean? And so I will give you the parallel of what you're talking about exists in things like steroids and stuff. But once again, no one is stopping high schoolers who are taking steroids, even though they're ruining their body and their dicks aren't going to work in the future and they're going to have man titties in the future and all these different things, and they're destroying their bodies. But there's really no outrage over that. That's been happening since the 50s? You know what I mean?
There is outrage, but it's not. I will give you that. It's not to the near level that which it was.
And these are like 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Dude, I knew like 15, 16-year-olds in high school.
Because it's to win state,
steroids.
Man.
Yeah,
it's to win state. You give me a transgendered girl who's going to win me state, then maybe we're not going to argue. So unless it's in a wrestling match, then maybe it's a problem. Or it's in a swimming match, maybe it's a problem.
This idea of teenagers taking hormones, man. I mean, that idea in sports, as far as like things like high school football and stuff, that's been going on for forever.
Yeah.
And so once again, though, it's people taking drugs to alter their body to match their idea of themselves. It all comes back to that same thing. And so I just keep on putting it under that whole thing. Hey, you have a right to alter your body to match your idea of yourself. You have a fundamental right to do that.
Depends on the age.
I will say people need guidance for sure. You know what I mean?
You
There
know,
definitely
if
is
I need to get a lottery scratch off at 18, maybe you should be at least 18 before you
Listen, I
start taking certain things. I don't know.
I guess,
Like, I
I guess,
don't know.
I guess, I guess.
At least
Here's what I'm
let's
saying.
think about it.
Here's what I'm saying. If some 16-year-old dude who was playing football was like, "Should I use steroids?" I would say no.
But also,
would I
they're not
stop
doing
him?
it.
No.
But the steroids aren't being taken legally though.
What?
That steroids aren't being taken legally. I think that should be also noted. You have 15, 16-year-olds like you're saying are probably not getting those steroids on illicit means. Let me finish. There are doctors and hospitals who are giving hormones to for transgendered children allegedly at certain ages in complete legal means. Maybe that's the big issue.
Well,
The steroids, you got steroids are 100% illegal. They're legal for adults. They're illegal for 25-year-olds in the NFL. That's 100% illegal. They get banned from the sport in baseball, basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, hockey, the whole thing. But now we're saying it's totally illegal for to give these hormones for a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old. That's totally illegal. I think that's probably a bigger issue.
I think, from what I understand, once again, I'm not really a football jock, but man, I mean, I think you can buy like workout stuff that like really shoots your hormone testosterone up in
illegally.
I think at like GNC. Like, I
Yeah,
think
you can get creatine. You can get
I think
metrics.
they just have
They don't have
testosterone
they don't have
boosters
the actual anabolic steroids. You can't go with a GNC and get anabolic
Oh,
steroids.
of course.
No.
Yeah.
But my point is, anabolic steroids or human growth hormones, you can't go and get GNC. You got to get that through illicit means. You've seen that with the Belco case with Barry Bonds or Alex Rodriguez. They had to go through illegal means. These are $1 million athletes who are adults, had to go through illicit means to get these steroids. But we have children who have options.
Well, wouldn't it be better to go through illicit means if you're getting hormone drugs? For sure. It would be better for it to be monitored.
Are you talking about athletes?
Anyone.
Well, of course it's
Yeah.
Of course, it's better to go through illicit means, but those don't exist because they're illegal.
But what I mean is, personally, I would even disagree with that. I would say, hey, make steroids. I've always been of the fan of make steroids legal in baseball.
I'm okay with making steroids legal, but the fact is, it's not.
Yeah, but also once again,
if they're making
it shouldn't be legal for 16-year-olds either way. So we can agree on that.
But it's still illegal, and my point is, the steroids are illegal.
Steroids should not be legal for
16-year-olds.
16-year-olds.
It's illegal for a 30-year-old, $50 million a year athlete.
Yeah.
But they're making it illegal. Okay, fine, illegal. Don't do it, or they shouldn't do it, or you have to go through illicit means to do it. However, you have perfectly legal channels for a 8-year-old, a 7-year-old who claims I am a woman trapped in a man's body, or vice versa. They go into a specific hospital or type of doctor who's willing to say, yeah, you're right. Let's give you hormones to get you down this path and to eventually sterilize you in the way that you were meant. Biologically. I'm not saying you're wrong in your brain. I'm just saying biologically you could be sterilized when you may not necessarily know that for sure it is, because you're just a child. How do you know for sure? Because you were talking about the haircuts earlier. Okay, I used to shave. Sam Appleman used to shave his head constantly when he was in high school. This is my identity. This is who I am. I used to shave my head all the time because I knew in the back of my brain, well, the hair's always going to grow back. Hair's always going to grow back. But if you do something else down there, that's not so temporary.
Well, can I give an example for me where I feel very close to this whole thing?
Sure.
So I'm sure you've heard me talk about this on stage. I went when I went through puberty, I developed a condition called gynecomastia, which I grew large woman-like breasts. This is an actual thing, right? So the hormones in my body, I don't know what happened, but I grew large woman-like breasts, like actual breast tissue.
Okay.
And at the age of 23, I had gynecomastia surgeries to remove these breasts that I had. So literally I augmented my body at the age of 23.
Okay.
And I looked into it for the first time when I was like 14, 15 years old. And there's a part of me that kind of does wish I did it younger. Now doing the surgery does because it's hormones being directed to my chest. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whenever I did the surgery, then of course, because these hormones can't be sent to my chest anymore, all these other things happen in my body. You know what I mean? And I ended up being a very healthy individual as far as I can tell after these surgeries at 23. Maybe I wouldn't have been healthy if I had the surgeries at 14. Maybe it would have messed with my hormones too much. I don't know, but there is a part of me that really wanted to do it at 14. And I can't say for sure whether or not maybe it would have been really healthy for me to do it at 14. I was very committed to the idea of not having man boobs, very committed to this idea.
Right.
At 14, I knew for sure I wanted to live my life as a stereotypical man. And so I wanted to remove these man boobs for sure. I knew that at 12. I knew that as soon as I developed man boobs, I knew that.
Can I ask you a
For
question?
sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
All right. Let's say the man boobs aside. Besides that, what else about you were not manly?
That was it.
That's what. Okay,
was it.
so that all right. So it was a very off center, unfortunate situation that you had that you that you went down a path to like let's get rid of these. But that sounds like what you had was a very unique situation that you were able to get rid of. You were still a man. You still identified as a man. You still had facial hair in here, facial hair down there. You still had a penis, I'm gonna assume, and all that. It sounds like a very unique thing that you had. It doesn't sound like it correlates so much as to a someone who's identifying as who is biologically a male, identifying as a woman, or vice versa.
What I'm getting at,
you know what I mean?
What I'm getting at is this. So if we look at a dude as The Rock and we look at a woman as Scarlett Johansson, then I was definitely something in between. So I can't really say that people are men or women. I can't really say that.
You really
That's
thought
like
you
a
were not
thing.
so much a man?
I really do think for sure I was something, I was and am something in between a man and a woman, for sure. Because I just grew boobs. Like it was actual breast tissue that they removed from me, like large amounts of breast tissue. Other dudes were not experiencing this. So my body is obviously doing something unique. My body is obviously placing me something in between a man and a woman, for sure. For sure, because it's literally estrogen that's making those boobs.
Okay,
for
all right,
sure.
Okay, all right. So was it estrogen?
For sure.
It was estrogen that was doing it.
Yes,
Okay,
for sure. That's the only option. It's the only thing that grows boobs is estrogen, for sure. So it was estrogen that was for sure doing it. So for whatever reason, now every dude has some estrogen in their body, but for whatever
there's
reason,
certain levels. Yeah,
for whatever reason, my body made a ton of it, and I grew these boobs. That's an actual thing that happened to me. So I look at myself, and I don't think I'm a man the way The Rock is a man, or the way all the stereotypes are. I definitely view myself as something in between. And so this idea of binary genders, a man, woman, all that's ludicrous to me, completely ludicrous.
but that does go back to the point that I was saying earlier. Maybe it wasn't so much you were less of a man. You were still a man.
Well,
you still are a man, but you were just a different kind of man. Like like how like my friend who I grew up with, like, she's still a woman. She was just a different kind of woman.
Well,
doesn't make her any less of a woman. She's still a woman, 100%.
How about this? And this is an interesting thing. I think what would help a lot towards meeting the middle ground is this. I get what you're saying, how you worry about whether or not children who are taking these drugs.
And that's
are
my
gonna
big
regret
concern.
it
If
years
you're
down the road.
25 years old and you think you're this and you've been like this for a long time, hey, you're 25 years old, then I'm willing to trust you. Go down this road, do your thing. I'm willing to trust you. Whatever your pronouns is, I'm on your side. 100 billion percent.
I think,
but my issue is with like little kids.
I think here's the thing: is that most. I think what would go a long way is just normalizing the reality that certain people are born of saying to people in general, saying in school, saying this, saying, hey, there are people who are born with the body of a man and the brain of a woman. And here's the thing. That's okay just as is. That's okay just as is. You can just be that if you want. You know what I mean? You can just know that and everything like that and just be that. I think that would go a long way if you just kind of normalized that. You know what I mean? Where a person can say, hey, I have the body of a man and a brain of a woman. I think just being able to be that, that's something that to me is fascinating is we haven't really tried that yet, if that makes sense. And the reason I get it is this, is it looks weird. Here's what I'm getting at. There are a lot of dudes who just go, hey, man, I just don't want to wear, I want to wear women's clothes. You know what I mean? I want to put on makeup. You know what I mean? I have the brain of a woman, so I have the body of a dude, and I want to put on women's clothes. I want to wear makeup and all that and stuff. I'm definitely transgender. I have these desires, you know what I mean? So here's what I'm saying is, if we just normalize that, then there wouldn't need to be this rush for surgery. The reason there's a rush for surgery is we find it is, and this is our fault as people, we find it disturbing for someone to have a 5 o'clock shadow wearing a dress. We find that to be disturbing. So people rush to get surgeries in order to basically live a life of peace, essentially. Because otherwise they're going to be harassed. If someone with a 5 o'clock shadow, they shaved earlier that day and now they have a 5 o'clock shadow and they're going to a woman's room wearing a dress, somebody's going to yell at them. So they go, okay, I got to go get electrolysis on my face. I have to go get these surgeries, because if I don't get these surgeries to change the way I look, it's just going to be a life of hardship towards my desires.
That seems like an extreme reaction, though, because you're saying that anyone who is just like, if you're a man who wants to wear women's clothes, that makes you transgendered.
No,
I thought that just made you cross. I thought it just made you a cross-dresser.
I'm saying that would, of course, let's say
J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI, that dude was like chronicled.
You have to agree,
wear women's clothing.
You have to agree that would be the start, right? So like,
it's a start, but does that necessarily mean you're transgender?
No. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but you have to agree that would be so let's say you know you're transgender and you go, okay, sure. you go, okay, but I'm scared to be transgender in public. Well, what would you do? You'd be at home wearing women's clothes, walking around your house in women's clothes. If you were a closeted transgender person, you would literally be at home walking around in women's clothes.
Why?
That would be what a closeted transgender person would do.
But
the same way a closeted gay person would be fucking the same sex.
I've had this but I've also had this problem though, because there's a lot of women, and now let's just say, for the sake of argument, normal women, standard women,
cis women, yeah,
sure, yeah, okay, yeah,
it's a good term. It's a good term.
Let's just for the sake of argument, like you're cis women,
yeah,
sure.
It's a good term. It's a fine term.
Who are just walking around and they're wearing jeans, they're wearing t-shirts, they're wearing a hoodie and everything, and they are still a woman who fuck men.
Yeah. They identify as a woman.
Want to fuck all the men and everything, and will
and they're just a tomboy. Yeah, tomboy. Yeah.
But even let's take that term out of it just for a second.
Yeah.
Who want to do that.
I will say that's more normalized for women. It's more normalized for a woman to wear men's style of clothing in public as a tomboy. It is more normalized, I feel, for butch women to exist than for very effeminate men to exist. It is more, for whatever reason. I think as dudes in general are more, sadly, a lot of dudes in this world are homophobic, and so they're more comfortable around a butch lesbian, what's termed a butch lesbian, than they would be around an effeminate man.
Cut up sleeves, short hair,
Yeah,
tattoos.
So they go, I relate to this, you know what I mean? I relate to a tomboy lesbian more than an effeminate man. I think that's sad, you know what I mean? I think that they, but I can see that attitude happening. And so once again, it becomes a question of normality. It becomes a question of these of women, of society just allows for that, like you said, the jeans and the hoodie and all that, and society just doesn't allow men in dresses to walk around. And so, yeah, there is this question.
I'm willing to argue that society does, because I see it all the time. Granted, I live in New York, so there's also that argument.
Of course, yeah, much more in New York than anyplace else.
Yeah.
But what I mean is I feel truly that needs to be normalized for sure. Women being able to be tomboys, men being able to be effeminate, that of course needs to be normalized. And you might be right. You might be onto something in that maybe there's a social pressure to declare yourself as transgender when maybe there would have been some middle ground, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think that's shame on society from not promoting that middle ground. And saying, hey, you know what I mean? Let's make everything on this cool. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you want to be a guy who dresses in a very feminine way, that's totally cool. If you want to be a woman who dresses in a very masculine way, that's very cool. If you want to make alterations to your body, that's cool too. Really preaching that freedom is what calms people down. I totally get what you're saying, how people get caught up in stuff because they but a lot of times the reason people get caught up in stuff is because they're being told no. And if you just kind of open everything up and go, hey, yeah, man, like these are all the options, do whatever you want, people will pick the middle ground a lot of times if that's for them. And if something more, if going further is for them, then they'll pick that too. You know what I mean? But I firmly believe that, but I do think, yeah, we have a responsibility. The thing about it is, man, is these are all paradigms, and we had a previous paradigm of just these very binary systems, and now we're moving to a paradigm of that's a spectrum system on both gender and sexuality. We're moving to that paradigm where we acknowledge the spectrum of gender and the spectrum of sexuality. And so the quicker we normalize that spectrum, and like we talked about, go say, hey, yeah, if you want to be a guy who dresses effeminate, if you want to be a woman who dresses like a tomboy, totally cool, totally awesome. But if you want to go further and fully transition into the sex that you weren't assigned, the sex that is different than the sex that you were assigned at birth, then that's your option too. But once again, if you fully normalize stuff, you won't. I firmly believe you won't get people feeling that they need to go all the way. I do get what you're saying. It will kind of bring a bit more subtlety to people discovering who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'll create the option. And you're already seeing that. You're seeing people who maybe used to identify as gay or lesbian now identify as non-binary and whatnot, and there's all these other ideas where they say, okay, well, not only I was assigned a man at birth, being a man at birth, and I'm attracted to men, but I don't feel like I'm fully a man, even though I am attracted to men. So I identify as non-binary. I take that label. And I think that's fine, man. That's fine. It's a way of saying, hey, man, I don't think I'm The Rock. Like, if that's a dude over there, I just don't think I'm that. I'm not even trying for that.
I guess my only, all right, I don't want to say it's an issue. I don't want to say it's wrong. I want to say, like, I guess we'll go with confusion. Like, what makes you think just because I'm non-binary or I'm this and that? How do you like I was just talking about, like, maybe you still are a man, or maybe you still are a woman. You're just like a different kind. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe that's the only thing that's confusing me about it is I'm non-binary. I'm this and that. But how do you know you're still a dude, or you're still a chick? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
The reason what I think you're getting caught up in is you just want to use old language.
Maybe I do.
You get what I'm saying?
Maybe I do.
Maybe
I do. I'm willing to accept that that's the possibility. But
you just want language that kind of creates variations on old language.
Hey, what's wrong with language?
And so because I think here's the thing is what I hear you talking about is largely the same thing that exists. You just would like it labeled a different way. Which that's what I think is kind of the interesting thing that I kind of always come back to, basically, is it really is just a matter of who makes the grass green, and it's you,
son.
Yeah. So who makes the grass green? All right, well, let's move on.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's definitely okay. What happens after you die? What do you think?
What happens after I die? All right. Well, I would like to think that it's not endless darkness, but I'm fearing more and more every day it's going to be endless darkness.
So you think you will be conscious within endless darkness?
I don't know.
As Sam Appleman.
The thing is, that's like when someone says, "Oh, it's endless darkness," people's like, "Oh, so I'm going to be darkness the whole time?" I feel like I'm just going to be stuck in a locked room for the rest of my life, just like not being able to move this way, that way, up, down, sideways, diagonal, and everything. Not be able to hear anything, not be able to say anything. I'll just be like in a silent room. That's what the thing is. That's what my brain thinks about. Yeah. But I don't think that's what people mean when they say endless darkness. Like, all right, you ever watch The Sopranos?
Yeah.
All right, so one of the especially in that last season, one of the constant things that they kept on coming about was about death. It was just like, oh, it's nothing, it's endless, it's just a big nothing. It's that's what the what I think the finale was, where he had the ring of the bell, and then just went fade to black, went right to black, and everything. It was just dead silence and quiet. It's not that he was conscious that it was black; it was just black. It was just darkness.
So you think he got killed and it was nothing?
Oh, I 100% no. Oh, Tony Soprano died in that last season. Stop. stop looking into it. He's dead. He got shot in the head by the guy, members only. That's what I think. Anyway, so I 100% believe. So
Okay.
so when people say, "Oh, it's just darkness and blackness," like let me be very clear with this. When people say it's blackness, it's dark, and there's nothing in everything, I'm not saying I'm consciously aware I'm in darkness. What they're actually trying to say is it's just nothing, which I don't think we as human beings can comprehend, because look at us. Look at us right now. We're alive right now. How the hell could we ever possibly make a pure, true guesstimate on what's going to happen? We can talk about it, which is great. This is great. But I just don't think we can truly believe, like, if we believe 100% it's going to be darkness. Well, what does darkness mean to us? It's more than just being darkness and being black and like, oh, it's quiet and everything. I don't think we can truly make a guesstimate. Oh, it's going to be in heaven. It's the pearly gates. No, I mean, I hope it's true. Honestly, I hope that's it. I hope there's a heaven, and I'm hanging out with my family, with my best friends, with everything, and everything's great, because that's what heaven is. It's the best version of whatever the hell you think is, part of, without using the word hell. I hope it's that version, but I don't know. But to say it's darkness, how can you say it's darkness when my version of darkness is still being consciously aware that it's dark?
Well, here's the thing: is
I don't know.
So it's kind of interesting. I'm always fascinated with the word nothing, because the word nothing means no thing. That's actually what it means.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No thing.
Oh yeah.
No thing. So anyway, here's what I'm saying though: is what you're describing are things. You're describing a dark room. You're describing not being able to move. You know what I mean? So you're describing things.
Because we're alive right now. So what else am I supposed to say?
But true nothing is true nothing. True nothing is true nothing.
Mm-hmm.
True nothing is just literally just nothing. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know what true nothing is. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. So let's do a thought experiment here. A couple of things. One, it kind of is interesting that you fear this room of darkness. I'll give you a scarier metaphor that I think, that I worry about, is they say, I once heard a person say that eternity is a mirror. That's scary too. Eternity is just a mirror. Eternity is you walk into a room and it's just mirrors. And so it's kind of a similar darkness. It's just mirrors. And so the idea meaning that it's like what you're saying is you're just left with everything that was. And so you're left just reflecting on that for all of eternity. Now, that being said, follow me on this theory.
Okay.
You die. And then you go to this dark room that you think about. Okay? Yeah, you go there. Or this whatever, this room full of mirrors or whatever. And then you think, I'm going to be here for forever. And then 5 minutes later, everything ends. But here's the crazy part. That 5 minutes will be forever. Because that's all you know. And then your consciousness goes into the bingo ball hopper. But when you're there for that 5 minutes, that's forever. In that 5 minutes, you'll be like, this is forever.
So just 5 minutes just waiting for something to happen.
No, not even that. You don't even realize that it shut off. It just shuts off. So that 5 minutes is forever.
So it's not 5 minutes.
Well, how long is forever? Forever is till the end.
It ain't 5 minutes. I know that.
Forever is till you don't realize anymore.
Well, that goes to my point. Like, how can we comprehend what's forever?
That's what I mean. It's whenever you're not conscious of Sam Appleman anymore. That's when forever ends. So what I mean is, if you go to a place, if you go to heaven, you go to hell, you think, I'm going to be here for all of eternity. And if that's the last place you are, then you are there for all of eternity, because that was the last place you are.
Right.
So that's kind of the thing. Isn't that interesting?
It is. It's really good. And the thing that fucks with me is that what keeps me up at night, not all the time, but sometimes when I think about death, and I'm like, okay, but how can I comprehend what the end is? Because I'm conscious right now is because I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's like the old it's like Descartes, like I think before that I am, which is one thing that I do believe. I think, therefore I am. It's the one. It's the two things. Like I think, therefore I am. 1, 2. I believe those two things. I can't. Everything else is possibly subjective. I'm okay with that. All right.
You know what is actually the one thing I believe?
What?
I do not believe anything.
I hear that. and I'm willing to believe that.
I do not believe anything.
Which is crazy.
That's literally the one thing I believe is I do not believe anything. Yeah, it's just my one code. I do not believe anything. I can say it another way. I say a thing as a noun. Thing is a noun.
Okay.
People, what are things? Things are nouns.
I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking.
The
I'm
idea
thinking,
that
I'm
the
thinking.
menu is not
And
the
right
meal.
here, I'm touching this. I don't know what this is, but
Yeah.
I know I'm touching something.
But
I'm
when
thinking,
when we
and I'm thinking about it.
when we label stuff, it's the menu. It's not the meal.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, but I'm thinking about it. But beyond, like, okay, so you lose consciousness. You're in a dark, not necessarily a dark room, but just it's supposed to be darkness. But the darkness is only what someone has told me, so I'm willing to believe that. I was told that it's supposed to be darkness. So, all right, so I'm willing to believe that. I'm willing to believe that. I don't believe that because of what they told me.
You know, it's interesting. Maybe you go to the place that you believe you're going to go. Maybe you will go to that room of darkness because you hold that.
I hope that's the thing, though. I hope it's not that.
You know what? Maybe
I fear.
you gotta,
I fear that.
you gotta,
I fear
you gotta
that.
form a friendship with God, so you at least have that illusion for
Do
that
I have
5
to?
minutes. So you at least have that illusion for that 5 minutes.
Can I just go, play beach volleyball with freaking the 2004 Olympic medal team from the U.S. because they were two beautiful women. I wanted to just do that for the rest of eternity.
I think that's a noble thing. I have a bit where I actually where I say that I go I say where I talk about how I think atheists maybe they get nothing because they believe in nothing, and I believe in God, and I believe that He will give me heaven, and I will be married to 1998 Pamela Anderson.
Right. It's like when you're on a deathbed, it's like, maybe let me cash in my chips before I, it's like, give me this one last chance.
You might get whatever you believe in. You know what I mean? You might
knows?
get it. You might get it.
Who knows?
And so, yeah.
But the thing is, that's also why the idea of, like to get dark here, it's like the idea of suicide. It's like the ultimate, no, man, I feel like you got to earn. You got to earn.
Oh, you got to ride it out to the end.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to
finish
suicide.
You got to finish.
But I will tell you,
you can't just press reset. You can't just turn off the console. You got to keep going.
I've had some scary moments on shrooms, most notably, but where my brain is trying to self-destruct. And so I do have empathy for people who commit suicide because I've been in these weird states where my brain is literally telling me to kill myself, and I have to talk myself down.
Yeah,
it's insane.
No, the thing is,
I know those states of consciousness exist.
People I grew up with kids who sadly who did kill themselves. One in 7th grade, one in senior in high school. They did kill themselves. One hung themselves, and the other one shot themselves in the face with a shotgun. And I have total 100% empathy for them and their family. But forget their family for a second. Yeah. I do have empathy for them mainly because of what if you just held out, because I didn't have a great time in middle school. I'm not saying there was a point where I was ready to end it all. But I just know if you just held out, you could have come out to be one of the best people.
Oh yeah, no.
You never know.
I definitely and listen, I think there's different ways people who tragically commit suicide. There's different ways they approach it, and so I can't speak to it all. But I will say this: suicide hotlines exist, and when you think about a hotline, what is a hotline? It's a person who needs help in the right now.
That second, yeah.
You know what I mean? That second. So I tend to think that one of the ways people approach suicide is through these manic states, where it's literally just their brain is literally telling them to kill themselves in this moment. And if they simply can hold out for an hour, their brain will actually be able to right itself, just biologically. So I do think, and that's why I really have a lot of empathy, man. Whenever I hear of somebody hanging themselves or a shotgun, I think man, it might have just been this state where their brain was yelling at them.
A bad
just
little
yelling
moment,
at them, yelling at them to just end it.
Not to say
so crazy to think about, but I've experienced those states, and I've called people right away. I've had just call up somebody. I kind of think, okay, it's hotline time.
Yeah.
And but that's real, man. That's real. And those manic states.
Yeah, and those states are not just they don't come out of the blue. They are they are.
Well, for me, it was shroom induced both times. It was shroom induced both times.
From a personal standpoint, I have had moments where it was not just oh wow, I've it was like a mushroom cloud, like an atomic bomb. It was a slow build, and there were times where I called certain loved ones where I'm just not happy right now. I'm just and they just and they literally just focused on me, just saying, hey, just take your breath,
Yeah.
take a breather, just focus on your breathing right now. And I was like, panicking, like losing
Yeah.
this. Like, take a breather, just take a breather. And I would just want you just to focus on one thing, and that's your breath. And
Yeah.
just focus on, and it's like literally just like talking you down to just
Yeah.
relaxing you for a little bit.
Yeah.
And like not to say that works for everybody, but I know it worked for me.
No,
and,
I know.
and that
I firmly believe that,
Yeah.
that not that does work for everybody, like you said, but yeah, that is a way to get your mind back on the right path.
Yeah, because that clearly could just be
And-
it. Be like,
yeah.
maybe I'm just not thinking clearly right now because
Yeah.
I'm like breathing so heavily right
Well,
now.
you know, whenever I've been on shrooms and I've had these experiences, one thing I will say about shrooms is when I'm on shrooms, I realize, oh, this is what the people who are schizophrenic on the subway are experiencing. Like, because I know, I'm experiencing the same thing where I'm having these urges to talk to myself, in public and stuff like that. And I have to fight back those urges, things like that. So I'm like, okay, this is clearly what these people are experiencing on the day to day. I'm experiencing it through shrooms, but they experience it on the day to day. And drug-induced psychosis is a real thing. People who don't come back from shroom trips, basically. And so that being said, being that I've had these experiences and I really actually don't use shrooms for the most part anymore. I'm very careful with them because I've had the experiences. Now I use it with friends, you know what I mean? But because I've had these experiences where I've been alone on shrooms and I've really gone to these dark places where my brain was yelling at me to kill myself. Because I've had these experiences, I tend to use less in that way, but also I realize that these experiences are natural to some degree, meaning that there are people who just have a brain that just all of a sudden goes on shrooms naturally, and they get to experience that state naturally, probably because they're in such a stressful state that their brain breaks. The way shrooms breaks your brain, they literally do it through stress. I don't know what that would take. I hope I never get to that point of that much stress. But I can imagine people that I see on the subway have clearly gone through trauma. And so you sit there and you look at it, you go, hey, man, I clearly haven't experienced the level of trauma that you've experienced, which is clearly a level of trauma of severe physical abuse, like severe, probably beaten to black and blue as a child. You
Some
know
of
what I mean?
them
Like straight up beaten black
and
and
you
blue
can
as a child.
and it's sad because you can
And
see,
you see they're schizophrenic now.
Yeah.
And you're like, you got beaten black and blue as a child, like badly, by somebody who did not love
and
you.
not even
and said that they loved you probably.
Yeah, and not even just the ones who are like generally like schizophrenic or like to the point where you need like a mental health professional to deal with them. Even the ones who are just walking in and you hear like their spiel, their speech, or whatever, or like they have like you could just tell like the trauma that they went through, or you at least kind of like sense it just by like how they approach it. Some of them are just like very like, hey. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to you know, do this, do that. Please, no, okay, and then just kind of go on the thing. Then you have there's been a few where over the years where they just come in high, like I can't fucking deal with this anymore. Give me something. I don't fucking care. Give me something. Why can't you give me anything? I'm just starving right here. And they don't even. And a lot of people will bring up like empathy for like. Oh, I have a kid. I have to feed. I have my mother at the feed, or I have to go to the doctors, or I need to go to the homeless shelter. Some people are this is like this one woman who just sticks on my brain from like 8 years ago when I first moved here. It's like, I don't care about anything. Give me something. Who was just purely just fed up. Who was just like, and you could just see the look on her face. She's been through some stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you clearly need to give me something. Like it was just on her face, like you know.
The other thing to think about though is, and this is sad. She probably knows that level of anxiety gets people to give money.
Yeah,
it wakes people up. That's what's so sad.
And it wasn't because
she has to attain that level of anxiety in order to get people to pay attention to her. And man, that's it's there's moments in my life, man, where I felt very invisible, and so I can identify with that, man. I can identify with that wholeheartedly, man.
And it's not like in the feeling I thought when she came in, it wasn't she was trying to scare us. Like I've had homeless people who like gently tried to scare me.
Yeah.
Gently tried to be like, like try to like scare me into giving them something. She wasn't trying to scare us. She was just in a moment, and she was just fed up. And you can just, and it was, if she was faking it, then God bless her. But I just didn't believe she was. She was really just over whatever, like she was just having a day. And as far as I know, that was the one time she really nailed the performance.
Oh, yeah.
She tried to do it the next car and probably just gave like a C+ performance. Like she just gave the A+. You got all
You
the
felt
dollar.
it.
You did.
Yeah.
In that moment, like she was
because
just
you've seen the bullshitter ones that like freak out where you're. I don't want to say the bullshitter. It's such a terrible thing to say.
I've seen the bullshitter. You want to hear my bullshitter story? All right. So when I first moved here, this is back in 2014. The first like year and a half, I was out riding the D train and the N train from Brooklyn, Borough Park. Borough Park in Sunset Park, that area in Brooklyn. Which actually not that far from where the shooting was a couple years ago. Okay. Excuse me, a couple months ago. Yeah. And
months,
yeah, not that far from
weeks.
About a month ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, but a D in the N train, and there was this kid, and I say a kid because I was 24 at the time. He must have been not a day over 20. He was a black kid. He was probably about 6 foot tall, and he would come in, and he was, at the time, what I perceived to be deaf, because he did the
Got it. Yeah,
he did those noises, and he would point at his ear, and he look, and I'm like looking him up and down. He's wearing grungy shoes, grungy pants, white T-shirt, and didn't matter the time of the year. He's always in a T-shirt. So I'm like, oh, all right. So this kid's struggling. Yeah. I think there was a time where I gave him $1, maybe, whatever. And he was struggling. He was going, and I would see him like maybe a couple times a month. Then probably about, so this is 2014, probably around late 2015. So around 1:30 in the morning, I'm on my way home from work. And I'm coming back home, and I'm on the Q train, so on a different line than what I originally was. And it was the exact same kid, 100%, same haircut, same everything. And it was around 1:30 in the morning, and he comes in, and he does the same routine, and I'm like, oh, I recognize this kid. Okay, well, all right, whatever. Goes out the car, goes in to the door. Yeah. Probably about 20 seconds later, comes in, hot, angry, yelling, talking. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. I'm tired of this shit. Y'all give me nothing all the time and everything. And I'm like,
so he just came off the act.
Yeah, came completely off the act. He's just like, I'm ditching this thing. Fuck you guys. And I'm sitting there. Now, and it was genuinely angry. I'm like sitting there like with like my bag. And I'm like, okay, like doing like we all do, just like when there's like okay. And there's this one guy who I guess whether he saw through the act or just was fed up himself, who was sitting down on the bench across from me, and he started just preaching like something straight out of like the book of Genesis. You just like he's like, the Lord does this, the Lord, you have no, like you started like preaching to the guy, and they started yelling each other in the face, like right into each other. It was one of the it was one of those like old cars where it was like all it was like, what was it, the C train? Remember the C train? Yeah. It wasn't the C train.
I know you're talking about
those cars.
Yeah,
remember those?
I know you're talking about
like so cars, where you're stuck there. You're kind of stuck there. So I was like, son of a bitch. And I just waited for the next stop, and I just got the hell out of there, hoping the guy didn't come in. He didn't, but like I'm like, I saw the whole act just fall down, and he was like, fuck this shit. And I was like, for 2 years, like this was the deaf kid who begged for money, and he got money.
And he just came off of it one day.
He's like, I was fucking over this shit. Fuck you guys. I'm like, fuck. So
you know what's interesting? Every once in a while, he probably came off of it. That was just your day to finally do it after 2 years.
Exactly. I just got lucky that one spring day.
Yeah. Okay, now this is my favorite question.
All right.
Have you ever experienced the miraculous or the supernatural?
No.
No. Straight up no. That's fine. That's fine.
No, I honestly haven't.
Yeah.
I did have. Well, we'll at least talk about it. My first service job. So I'm a bartender. I've been a
Yeah,
bartender.
and this could be
for
ghosts, aliens, but it could be something that happens within you. You just
Right.
experience randomly, not drug induced, just a random different state
no,
of
no, no,
consciousness.
like
something
just
that.
straight. So
Like you start hearing people's thoughts or some shit. You know what I mean?
the first service job I ever had was at the Dunes Club, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
Okay.
So this is back in 2010.
Love it.
But it was my second year. I was there for 3 years, so it's my second year. So this is 2011 rather.
Yeah.
So 2011. So about 11 years ago. I'm now the way this was set up. It was a beach. It was a country club. Essentially a country club, but it was on a beach in Narragansett.
Yeah.
So essentially, picture a country club. Instead of golf, you had beach.
Okay.
That was it. And there was a like a little mini compound for all the workers to live at. So we had like dorm style living.
Yeah.
You know, in this like little area that we all like. It was all fenced off. So basically, at night we're all by ourselves. We're drinking. We're smoking. Doing drugs. Doing all sorts of things and everything. And
Rhode Island beach stuff.
yeah, and a lot of it was a great time, and you're getting paid. And also the living was free. It was free room and board.
Awesome.
100% free room and board. So so all the money I got went to towards my gas, my
Love
beer,
it.
and everything. It was a great time, and so one night, now this beach club is like 100 years old. Was like built like in 1907. Got hit by a hurricane like 3 years into it, then rebuilt in like 1917. So it's a super old building, like original. It doesn't even have air conditioning. That's how old it is.
Yeah.
It's like super old school. So we're sitting there. It's like 2:00 in the morning. All like me being bright and bushy tailed 21-year-old kid talking like these 35-year-old cooks and and everything. Trying to like scare us into stuff. He's like, oh, you don't understand, man. I would fish here in the off season. I'd be walking down the down by the cabanas at the far end where there's no cameras, man, and there's no anything, man, and I'm just going off to fish, and I would hear creaks and crowns and everything, and I hear hoops and hollers, and I would see things all the time, and I'm like, okay. So there's this one night where there's a vending machine on the opposite end where you're free to go to, but you had to go through like these long weird pathways to get to the vending machine. And I just want, I know it's 1:00 in the morning. I want a Coca-Cola, whatever. So I would walk through there. I go to the vending machine, get the, put in my quarters. It's super old school. So it's like, like those like old comes from like the 1980s and everything. You can get like a grape soda that old. I'm like, I want a grape soda right now. So I get a grape soda. I go in, I'm going down the pathway, and I hear like this, like it's like all wood, right? So I hear like this like creak, and I'm like, like it was like to the point where I thought someone was behind me. So I turn around, and I thought this apparition in front of me. It turns like for a solid second and a half, I freaked the fuck out because I was a couple of things. I was drunk.
Yeah.
I was smoking. I had smoked weed, and it was also late at night. 1:30, 2:00 in the morning, whatever it was, and everything. But I thought I saw this apparition. It turns out it was just the big shadow of the security guard who was just making his rounds. And I know him, he knows me, but at the point, I don't care. I'm 21 years old, and I'm pissing myself, so I fucking run.
Yeah.
And I for about a few seconds, and he yells out, Appleman, chill. So, but that's the closest thing I have ever had to supernatural, which is me being super drunk and high and believing in, these old dude stories. That's all it was and everything.
Yeah.
Now, I'm willing to like possibly believe that, maybe like I would watch like ghost stories. I would like read like, because apparently like Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, I grew up in New England. So apparently there's some houses that are like the most haunted places on earth. I never stayed in these places. I probably never would, only because I don't want to waste my time. I don't think so. So there's my answer.
Fair enough.
Probably not.
Fair enough.
Probably not.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good answer.
Yeah. I did have a fun time, at the Dunes Club. That was a great time. And anyone who was listening to this, who wants to send like their 19 or 20-year-old kid to learn how to bartend, learn how to serve tables, make easy money, and have a good summer, go to the Dunes Club, Narragansett, Rhode Island. You're gonna have a great time.
I've woken up a couple of nights and seen people at like the foot of my bed who then slowly disappear. But there's a small part of me that's like, I feel like I was in that half dream state. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like,
You ever
know,
had sleep paralysis?
I've never had that, but I
I've
feel
had
like
that.
it's kind of in that realm of what I'm experiencing is not full on sleep paralysis, but sort of like that. You know what I mean? Where I wake up and I see somebody at the end of my bed, and then they slowly disappear. But as they disappear, I feel myself waking up more than I was already awake, if that makes sense. One time though, and this is a good example of why I think it was natural. There was a fire in the room that I was in, and I got up and put it out. You know what I mean? I was in college, right, and I was going to bed, and it's so stupid. I smoked a cigarette in bed, and I leaned over and I put it out, but I put it out on a piece of cardboard like a
Oh,
moron.
yeah.
And then I passed out, and then the cardboard lit on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And when I woke up, the room was filled with smoke. But here's the crazy thing: is when I woke up and I was in this fraternity, Alpha Phi Delta. It's like the official Italian American fraternity. It was most of the people in it weren't Italian, but I guess like heritage wise, you know, the original thing of what it was. But yeah, I was in this fraternity, and this dude, Chris DeLuca, he was standing at the end of my bed, and then he slowly disappeared, and then I noticed all the smoke in the room. So I wake up to see Chris. But once again, I think the smoke is in the room. I'm shit-faced, asleep.
Yeah.
The smoke probably starts to get into my lungs, probably alerts my brain to wake me up. That my brain is trying, and so then it's pulling me out in like this dream state, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if it's necessarily supernatural or if it's just my dreaming or my mind essentially playing tricks on me, but maybe that's the same thing. Maybe that's what supernatural is. Maybe that's the way, I guess, the other side works is through these sort of dream tendencies.
I think it's definitely possible because you know, when you watch like the ghost hunter TV shows and everything where they like go into the room and everything, they got the cameras and everything. If you really want to believe in something and you're gonna hear like a creak and a sound and you're gonna, you know, you could, the mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
You will manifest something just enough to make you at least think that something possibly just happened.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
I
I'm willing to
can't
believe, you know, you're willing to trick yourself.
Yeah. And going to dreams too, I can't say that I've had a prophetic dream. Like, I've never dreamed something that's happened, but I've definitely had very vivid dreams that I then made decisions in my personal life based on those dreams, for sure. Like, I kind of took those dreams as signs from God. That's definitely happened. I don't know if that's necessarily supernatural, but you know, it's kind of in that realm of yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Benny the Jet Rodriguez did that in Sandlot, so there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's kind of biblical. So yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Cool. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Do you believe in love?
Yes.
You do.
100 billion%. I remember you asking me this last night, and I was like thinking like, oh, absolutely.
I struggle with that personally.
This is a hill I will die on.
Oh,
like we all have hills we'll die on. I'll die on this hill. You just walk in and walk anywhere. People fall in love with anything, you know, if with good purposes and you know, in like they truly believe, whether it's their job, whether it's a person, whether it's a belief, whether it's their country, whether it's the country they came from, whether it's a political belief. Love exists. And now if we're talking about just a person or like falling in love with a person, hell yeah, absolutely. Okay. Then because honestly, what's
fair enough. Like I've fallen in love with a person before.
So have I. Yeah. So have I. And it sucked that the way it went down. There was another person who I fell in love with. There's two people. And the second person, I was like, I can't. I felt like the second person, I couldn't get this wrong. And
that just didn't.
The way things worked out, it just didn't work. And I haven't fallen in love with with a person since. And sadly, the way I way I treat it, which is probably not the healthiest thing. I treat it like a drug, and I'm trying to chase that dragon, trying to like, get that back again, you know,
Okay.
because I really felt that could have been like, and maybe that's why I've kind of pushed it away and try to focus on other things, is because, you know, I don't want it, because when you lose it, it sucks.
Yeah.
Because when you feel like you're in love, when you believe in you're in love, which I do believe, I was in love twice, and when you lose that, it's the worst feeling in the world. Like I've gotten rejected from whatever. I got rejected from women from a sexual standpoint, just like in the moment. I've gotten rejected from an acting role when I was an actor. I've gotten rejected just from just name the situation, any type of rejection, rejected from a job, rejected, it's a shitty feeling, but you can get over it. But when you get rejected, from like the feeling of love, and it's just gone, you're just wallowing it forever.
Yeah.
And if I'm feeling so shitty about something so bad, and I want that feeling so much, like it can't be mental illness. I truly believe it existed.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, you definitely, that's interesting. Yeah, I will say that, I've been in love, and that love changed me. That love changed me for
That's
the
good.
better. It's a
That's
very
that's
powerful
good.
thing. So much so that, I don't, I experience pain at the loss of love, at the loss of that love. But, and this is what's interesting, I still very much love this person.
Mm.
And this is where it gets weird. Knowing I love this person still kind of gives the fulfillment of that love. Like I haven't been with anybody else since my ex that I'm still in love with, and still knowing that I'm in love with my ex, still knowing that I love this person, still gives me a feeling of wholeness, which is very interesting.
But a feeling of wholeness or wholeness,
Um,
because that I think that's two different things.
a feeling that that I did it. I don't really feel the need right now to find love anyplace else. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, because I would feel after a certain point that maybe like could I find a larger feeling or multiple feelings
Yeah.
in a different source.
After my last relationship, I feel I can just exist with God. And it's like I'd still rather be with my ex for sure, but I can still but I don't want to be, if I can't be with my ex, then I just have no desire to be with anybody else. It's just like I just assume in my mind I've come to peace with this idea of just being alone then.
I'd be afraid of that, man, because the one thing that I've learned about myself is I'm accepted that I can live alone. I have. I was telling you earlier. I live in a one bedroom apartment. I've lived in by myself for going on 7 years now, and that grew not just from, oh, I can live alone, mainly because I can't live with a roommate. Like my last roommate was one of my best friends in the world, and he still is. I love this guy to death. I was the best man at his wedding. I love this guy, and I just can't live if I can't live with my best friend. Who's like obviously who's just a friend of mine. The dude, non-sexual partner, obviously. Then I can definitely, maybe I just have to live alone. But then I figured, like, if the next person I got to live with has to be someone who I'm at least sharing a bed with. You know what I mean? So I've accepted that I could live alone, but if I'm gonna live,
It has to be somebody you're building a life with.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would rather I want to live. I don't want to be by myself anymore, and I've wanted that for a while. But obviously, it has to be with the right person. Like I'm not just like like looking out the window, I'm like, all right, you look good. I want to be with the right person. But I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, it has to be. I want to not be alone anymore, because personally, being alone, certain points, it just sucks. There's certain points where I'm just like, this just sucks, like because
You know what's interesting? I used to feel that way so deeply, and I gotta tell you, just my last relationship made me feel so fulfilled that it just hasn't washed off. It's so weird. Like
I
I can
think
just be alone, and I'm like, no, this is good, man. This is good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't know.
It's a very new thing for me, man. I literally, for the first time in my entire life, I'm happy with a book. I'm just happy with a book.
I'm almost
Yeah.
envious of that because I don't have that.
Fair enough.
I don't have that. I'm not saying yours is that feeling is wrong. I'm saying I don't have that. I want to be with a person.
Yeah.
But not just any person though. That's the thing. Like, some cause one things I fear is I find a person who is just good enough, who's just fine. And then 10 years from now, it's like, or even 5 years from now, it's like, they're just
Well, I'll never settle. I think
that's the
people
thing. I don't want to settle either. No,
I think
can't
people
do
who
it.
settle
Can't
are
do
just are just insane.
Yeah.
Just insane. Be alone. Be alone. If you can't be with somebody that really makes you feel alive, be alone.
I'm pulling that. It has you
Yeah.
find someone who
Yeah.
makes you feel like so much more than you were than when you're alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So if you can't find someone to fulfill you, if you're gonna be in a relationship and deal with all the hassles of a relationship, but it doesn't complete you, leave.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer. Big believer.
Believe it. Yep. Yes, I believe in love. 100%.
Okay,
Ladies.
Fair enough. I struggle with it as a philosophical concept. I struggle with whether or not what we call love is just selfishness disguised. I struggle with that. I struggle with this idea of tell you what, man, Catholic, not a priest. He's a priest now, but he was a brother at the time. In the Catholic Church, priest, it's a fraternity. You know what I mean? So like any fraternity, that's what kind of fascinating about it. I grew up Catholic. Not really anymore like I was. I guess I still have some tendencies. I pray the rosary as a meditation and everything like that. But yeah, this guy, this brother Dominic, Asian dude, right? He one day he pulls me aside and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I'm going to tell you a secret, a priest fraternity secret." And he goes, "This is a secret that priests know and that we don't tell to people." Straight up, he told me. So it was very weird. And then he tells me, he goes, "This is a secret that priests know and we know in our fraternity and we don't tell it to people for many, many, many reasons. But I'm just going to tell you something." I think maybe he goes, I don't know why. I don't know why he told me this. I'll never know why, because afterwards he just sent me on my way. But he said this. He said, "People are incapable of being unselfish. We preach to them that they're capable of doing it, but they're just not. It's just a lie that we tell people to try to get them to reach for their better selves."
Right.
But it's just impossible. And he didn't go into it, but then when you think about it, that gets into like the idea of Catholic guilt and just religious guilt in general. This idea of you can't reach this thing that I'm telling you to reach. And so then you're going to inherently feel guilty. You know what I mean? I want to be unselfish, but I can't. And the secret the whole time is that it wasn't possible.
I mean, it's hard not to think about yourself. I'll give you that. I don't.
And he basically said, what I'm saying to you is a person is incapable of making a decision that they don't feel is in their best interest.
Yeah,
that
of
was the
course.
exact words. A person is physically incapable of making a decision that they don't think is in their best interest.
Yeah, because because at the end of the day, we are human beings. We're animals who are trying to survive. If we're not going to make something for our best interest, then we're not. Then we
The idea
immediately
being that
stop trying to think about our own survival, and we're obviously going to always want to put ourselves in the best situation, at least put ourselves in our best chance of survival. So that makes sense.
And the idea that even if you sacrifice yourself for another person, it's because you truly believe that that will better your state in the next life, or that will fulfill your current life. It's always has to be what's in it for you, I guess. Yeah. That's so interesting to think about it.
Oh yeah, I get it, and I subscribe
to that.
That
was the exact words. It just came back to me as I'm talking to you. The exact words were, "It's incapable for a person to do something that isn't that isn't perceived by them to be in their best interest. It's just impossible.
Yeah, because well, people think about it. People get married not just because we should
what he
be the
said.
best of our lives, or spend the rest of our lives with us, because I think spending the rest of my life with you is in my best interest.
Yeah.
When that seems like a logical. That sounds like a logical, conclusion to me.
Yeah.
Why else would you get married? Not saying you're not thinking about the other person. Of course you are. You spend, ideally X amount of time with that person, and a couple years, maybe, I don't know. And you think that what's best for you is going to be best for them, but what's the first part of that sentence? What's best for you?
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing, and that kind of flies in the face of this idea that love is real, and to some extent. And but I agree with everything you said too. So that's from a philosophical standpoint, that's very interesting.
Yeah, because love has to exist, man. Because
think
what else are we doing here, man?
Well, it's a sin. I think, and you nailed it too. People fall in love with their job, they fall in love with people. Love seems to be too, and this is something real. And I'm not trying to put down love when I say this, but love, a synonym for love would be appreciation. Okay. I appreciate this salad. I appreciate this burger. I appreciate this job. I appreciate this person. I love this salad. I love this burger. I love this job. I love this person. It's all the same thing in that regard.
I get that.
Yeah. So, there's that. Next question. Is there anyone you hate? And you don't have to tell me who it is. You can if you want. But is there anyone you hate?
One I hate.
Yeah.
Hate.
And then I say, do you experience hate? But here's the thing: is I think it's natural for people to experience hate towards things that you should hate. You know what I mean? Like you should hate racism. You should hate injustice. You should hate that for sure. But I specifically say, is there any one that you hate? I hate people. There are people that I hate. There are.
All right. I would
for sure.
You seem to be ready to answer. So
no. I'm just gonna say that's for me. For me, it's there. I can say for me, there are people that I hate. Oh. There are for sure people that I hate. So the question is for you: are there people that you hate?
That's all right. That's a good question, and I'm trying to think of an answer. I'm not stalling because I don't want to answer. I'm saying I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's people who I genuinely dislike.
Okay.
There's definitely people who I genuinely dislike, but hate. Because, what's hate? What is hate? That's a good question. What is hate?
You would make moves to enact I guess you would say you would make moves to make them pay for injustices they did to you. Like I'm talking like Count of Monte Cristo type shit.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? So that would be somebody that you hate. Would be this idea of like, I hate this person. This person did me wrong, and I need to feel that recompense has been made for those wrongs.
That's biblical shit, man. That's intense.
Like so yeah, it's like Count of Monte Cristo type stuff that you feel recompense in order for the universe to balance out.
I used to think I hated my middle school bully.
Okay. Like here's what I'm saying. If someone gave you $5 million, would you hire a private investigator to tail your middle school bully? And then if you find out that he's cheating on his wife, you would take photos and send it to his wife. Like, would you do something like that to fuck over your middle school bully?
Probably not, but it would be funny.
Right?
It would be funny.
Right?
It would be funny.
Yeah.
The fact that that someone even would marry that ugly motherfucker at all, because
and you would just sit there and just be like, yeah, no, and you would have to have a conversation with yourself where you would have to say, no, I hate this person, and I'm going to physically not shoot a gun, but pull a trigger.
You asked me 15 years ago, in a heartbeat.
Right?
In a heartbeat. And I would spend every single last dime of that $5 million to do it.
Yeah.
But now I would just take the $5 million and just walk away. But no, there was a time where I thought I believed I hated this person. I'm not gonna mention his name. It doesn't matter.
No, yeah. Don't mention it. We're talking about abstract concepts.
Yeah. But no, there was a time where I thought, every ounce of my being, I would you know Cape Fear. The movie Cape Fear.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Robert De Niro, right?
Yes.
Okay. Stalker. He's a stalker, right?
But at the very beginning, he's after he gets wronged by the lawyer that even though the guy was guilty, spends his like 20 years in prison, lifting weights, tattoos the guy's name on it and everything, like on his fingers and everything, redemption or like revenge or whatever. He's just like I had those images in my brain of one day I'm gonna get you, dude. I'm gonna get you, which is fucked up and it's not right. But I believe that I'm gonna get after this guy because I really do believe he, completely, wronged me and was, completely, overdid, his, his bullying to me, picked on me and made me feel, like this worthless piece of shit for so long. And I really believe I'm gonna come after to get this guy. And then time passed. I went to college, I realized,
you let go.
I let go. I just let go. And, and it's easy to say, and I think, when you say I hate somebody, I think there's a lot of people who I know and I think I can think of a bunch of names where they would go to I hate, just for the sake of argument, I hate Tucker Carlson. I hate Donald Trump. I hate.
You don't know those people.
No,
whatever people say that, I'm you don't know those people.
Or on the flip side,
but you hate an idea. I'll validate that.
Right,
you know what I mean? But that goes along with what I said earlier about I think it's proper to hate racism. I think it's proper to hate injustice. So you can hate ideologies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? For sure.
And honestly, at the end of the day, those guys, they're there to sell a product. And they're there and they do represent a big thing. You don't know them as individual people.
Yeah.
I'm not, and not to say that as individual people, maybe they do completely fucking suck. I don't know, but you don't know, and that's a major issue.
Really,
People
really,
are willing to jump to hate so quickly. It's all right, shut the fuck out.
That's really why I asked that question, because even if somebody says, "I hate Donald Trump," you kind of go, well, in order for you to establish that baseline, there has to be people personally that have tendencies like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And you hate them, right? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a big part of it.
And there are people in my family who love Donald Trump and love Tucker Carlson. And honestly, I don't hate them in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. But you know what? After a few years of, like back in 2016, I hated Donald Trump. Like you said, do you hate Donald Trump? Yeah, I do. Yeah. But after a few years, I'm like, all right, I don't hate the guy. I'm hating him for the wrong reasons. And I'm wondering, why is this guy even in the news right now? Why is he even in my face right now? And I'm wondering, and I'm like, oh, this is probably why.
Became dissociative from that hate to kind of just be like, this is kind of a show I've been watching for a while.
Exactly.
It feels a little bit like
it just seems like he's not so much this, he's so much that. Like, is he?
Well, that was the most insane 4 years ever. That was a wild ride, man.
It was a big TV show.
It was a big TV show.
And but in the last year and a half, I just kind of cut myself off from it. I'm like, what's the freaking point of this shit? Yeah. And people say oh, so you last election, who'd you vote for? Did you vote for this guy or did you vote for that? I went third party. I stayed home. I didn't do any that was my third party.
I voted for Biden because it's my partner.
I stayed home.
I had to.
I stayed home. I stayed home because because I just wanted to disassociate myself from it entirely, because I think it was all complete bullshit. I think it was completely dumb. To hate Donald Trump, I think it was dumb. To love Joe Biden, I think is dumb. And on the flip side, to hate Joe Biden is dumb, and to love Donald Trump is dumb. It makes no sense. They're all fucking idiots. They're all fucking dumb, and they make no sense, and they're not good for anything. They're all politicians. They're on the same side, fucking us over. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'd rather focus on the things that I care about. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to, try to focus on the things I'm going to I'm working on my comedy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna work on this. I'm gonna try to be a better person. I'm gonna try to find love, and that's what I'm gonna worry about, because that's what's important. What those guys are doing or what those gals are doing. Why it's so important that Kamala Harris is the first black vice president of the United States means nothing to me. The fact that Joe Biden beat Donald Trump means nothing to me, because it's not anything good for me. So I don't care about that. That's what, at least things I've accepted about that. I'm going to focus on things that are important to me specifically. All right. And that's what I care about. And I think that's, now, if someone else wants to die on a hill and make their entire life's work, hey, welcome to America. You're allowed to do that. Do it. And I hope you find meaning in that.
Well, I think these are people who are just they're Donald Trump or Joe Biden. They're just faces that represent ideologies. You know what I mean? That's kind of it. But yeah, people just hate the ideology and stuff. But you're right. They say things like, "I hate Joe Biden, I hate Donald Trump," and you're right. It's kind of a little bit of a ridiculous statement.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's like
they would probably do themselves better if they stated the ideologies that they hated, that are personified by this person, and really made that clear. Because you're right, it does kind of sound a little just like a bandwagony.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's my problem with it.
Now here's the last question.
All right.
The last question. What is enough for you? What is enough for you? What is enough? What would be enough? What would be enough?
What is enough for me?
What would be enough? What would be where you would go, hey, man, no, I'm good. I got it all.
I got it all?
What would be enough?
I'm almost afraid to answer, because I'm afraid that what I say is not enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's scary, right?
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah. Kind of. It's a great question, because it reflects a lot about human nature.
Yeah.
For me, when I ask myself that question, it really reflects a light onto my mindset. What is enough for me, man? What is enough for me? I want this to be enough. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to increase my fellowship with my friends, with my common man, and so I'm hoping that this is enough for me. You know, I'm gonna have different comedians on this show and stuff, and just art in general. I'm hoping that art is enough for me. I'm trying to make that my mindset. But go ahead.
I would say when I get home at the end of a long day, and I feel this is gonna be so stupid. I don't care. Fuck it. End of the day, I get in bed, and the woman who's next to me feels like I'm enough for them. Stupid and artistic and
it's great.
Gay as shit. I don't care.
It's a great answer.
No,
it's a great answer.
And she feels I'm enough.
She feels that you're enough.
I'm enough for her.
Yeah.
And she's enough for me. But I'm also doing exactly what I want to do, and it's not bartending.
Okay.
And it's not bartending.
So you're making money as a comedian, as an artist.
Hell fucking
you're making money as a comedian, as an artist, and you have this the love of your life, and you're enough for her.
Yeah. Yeah. In our bed, in our place, in everything. And anything else, that's extra.
You know what I hope?
Anything else would be extra.
You know what I hope, Sam?
What
I
do you
hope you get all that someday. And I hope
thanks.
when you
Thank you.
and I hope when you have it, I hope you think about this conversation a lot. Right? You know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably will.
So I hope you get it, man. I hope you become a famous comedian, a famous artist, and I hope that you get to hold a lady that looks at you every night and says, "Hey, Sam, you're more than enough for me."
Oh,
for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I love you, buddy. And
thank you.
And hey, this has been. I did this once with Nick Crespo under a different name. This show, but it was under the No One arrangement. Was the name of the episode, but I think Waiting for Death with Joe Camerota is a better title. So this is technically the pilot episode. Sam Appleman, thank you so much for coming on, dude. This has been a very cool experiment, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. This is a fun time.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, this is good.
Way better than I've done so many other podcasts, and I got not to pat myself on the back, but this is really I really feel like I grew as a person.
All right.
This.
Yeah. I had a fun time, Joe. This is a good time.
Yeah, thank you so much, my dude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Cool. All right. Bye.